Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So I recently came across this video from YouTuber Simple Man, who embarked on a video challenge to eat 12 eggs per day. Not an exclusive egg-only diet, but to make sure that his diet comprised at least 12 eggs a day. And if you look at his channel here, he does lots of 30-day challenges, and I assume that was his intent here because he had to cut his challenge short down to just 7 days for health reasons, which we'll get into here in a second.
And while a lot of people worry that eating too many eggs can cause high cholesterol, many studies have actually shown eggs can improve your good cholesterol. Most of these tests, though, just involved eating 3 eggs daily. Well, I'm about to put eggs to the test by eating 12 eggs every single day.
So as Simple Man said there, he has heard of the science connecting increased egg consumption with an increased rise of serum cholesterol. And we'll get more into that because that's ultimately what doomed his experiment here. I want to say too, right off the bat, I have no issues with Simple Man. This is not an attack video. I didn't know who Simple Man was before I heard of this video. So, hey Simple Man, if you're watching, I'm Ryan. Let's chat sometime. So anyway, let's get to his experiment here. And he started off wisely by taking some measurements and blood samples, or at least some blood tests, to see what his baseline numbers were.
At the beginning of this experiment, my stats were as follows. Weight, 205.4 pounds. Cholesterol, a shocking 253. On a side note, I was completely unaware that my cholesterol was this high when I started this experiment. My HDL, which is your good cholesterol, was 48. My total triglycerides were 147. My LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, was 189. My HDL percentage of total was 18.8. And my testosterone level was 766.
And then he began his experiment of eating 12 eggs a day for what I assumed was to be 30 days. But after a week, he wasn't really feeling all that well, and he took another blood test and he saw some results he didn't like, and let me just have him tell you.
But towards the end of this experiment, I was so sick of eggs. So after 7 days of eating 12 eggs a day, I got back my initial cholesterol test, which is when I discovered that I had high cholesterol, and I decided that I better call this challenge off because I wasn't sure how this would affect my cholesterol further.
So to be perfectly clear here, before he began his experiment, as his first blood test showed, he already had high LDL cholesterol and total cholesterol. And after eating 12 eggs a day for 7 days and doing a second blood test, both of those cholesterol numbers shot up even higher. So it's not like the eggs give him high cholesterol. They're already high to begin with, these numbers, and they got even higher.
And we'll first start out with my weight. Over the course of 7 days, I was able to lose 3.8 pounds. That's 1.72 kilograms.
So wow, nearly 4 pounds of weight loss in a week. That's some pretty rapid weight loss, and Simple Man attributes that to this 12 egg a day diet. And yeah, but no, I don't think it was the fact that you're eating 12 eggs a day there, Simple Man. Let's take a look at something you said about how many calories you're eating a day.
Throughout this experiment, I kept my calories around 2,000 a day. 12 eggs equals roughly 840 calories, so they were about half of my overall diet.
So let's take stock here. Simple Man said he weighed about 205 to start off with. I'm assuming he's in his mid-30s and about maybe 5'9", judging from his height in the doorways here. But yet he's only eating 2,000 calories during this 12 egg a day diet. And if we punch all these numbers in here, you'll see 2,000 calories is barely your basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories needed just to keep your body functioning while at rest. It would suggest you eat over 27, maybe 2,800 calories a day for your height and weight. So yeah, no surprise that you lost some weight on this diet, but I don't think we can say it was from eating 12 eggs a day. I think it was just calorie restriction. What would have been really helpful here is if you had included the amount of calories you eat on a typical day when you're not doing this 12 egg a day diet. I strongly suspect you're eating a lot more than 2,000.
My cholesterol went from an already high 253 to an even higher 276. My HDL, the good cholesterol, did see a slight improvement, going from 48 to 52.
Well, that's good to see some cholesterol numbers move in the right direction. I've had some blood tests, though, in the past that were taken maybe like 2 weeks apart where I've had this kind of change where I didn't really change anything in my diet. So this could just be some variability that happens naturally.
My total triglycerides dropped from 147 to 116.
Well, that sounds like a significant change there for your triglycerides, not due to some just kind of random natural variability. However, we saw another significant change here for his LDL cholesterol, and this is not a good change.
And when it came to my LDL, my bad cholesterol, I saw a jump from 189 to 215. My HDL percentage stayed the same.
Again, I'm not a medical doctor, but those are some sky-high LDL numbers there, starting in the upper 100s, and ideally you want to be below 100, and to cross over in the 200s. So again, I think it was wise to end this experiment. And as we saw earlier, his HDL numbers did increase, but with the increased LDL and total cholesterol, his HDL ratio stayed the same.
And when it came to my testosterone, it was the most surprising. I saw it lower over my preliminary reading by 121 points.
And by the way, he said that he took his blood test at approximately the same time of the day, eliminating the natural changes in testosterone levels that occur throughout the day. So this seems like a significant difference in T levels that can be attributed to the 12 eggs a day diet, and dispelling the myth that eating eggs gives you some kind of manly testosterone boost. So big drop in testosterone levels, and it is a significant spike in total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol. So how did Simple Man sum up this experiment?
And to avoid the same fate, I definitely recommend that you do not eat a dozen eggs a day.
So yes, I agree with Simple Man here. Do not try eating a 12 egg a day diet or any kind of amount of an egg a day diet for so many reasons, let alone health reasons, or is the moral implications of the cruelty and murder involved in the egg industry. What I kind of found most shocking was going through his comments and seeing so many people espousing the talking points of the egg industry, how cholesterol doesn't matter. You can have cholesterol levels off the charts and it's perfectly healthy, that there's no correlation or causal connection between cholesterol and disease such as heart disease. Again, just complete misinformation that people are repeating from the things they heard from studies that the egg industry has funded. Well, let's take a look at some solid studies that were not funded by the egg industry to show that there is indeed a connection between blood cholesterol and cardiovascular disease.
So do eggs increase our risk of cardiovascular disease or not? Here's the latest meta-analysis, the latest compilation of all the best studies on egg consumption and risk of heart disease going back to 1930. When you put them all together, what do we find? Overall, those that ate the most eggs had a 19% increased risk of cardiovascular disease, a 68% increased risk of diabetes, and then once you get diabetes, an 85% increased risk of heart disease. And it didn't take much. Less than a single egg a day was associated with a significantly increased risk of heart disease. Just over half an egg a day increased heart disease risk between 6 and 40%, and the risk of diabetes 29%. They conclude that their findings support the American Heart Association dietary guidelines, which advise restricted egg consumption in adults for preventing cardiometabolic diseases like diabetes, our 7th leading cause of death, and heart disease, killer number 1.
So leave your questions and comments down below. A lot to talk about here. What did you think of his initial experiment here of Simple Man to eat 12 eggs a day? And do you think he exercised good judgment after seeing his cholesterol numbers skyrocket after a week of this experiment to just say, hey, enough's enough, I'm done with this. I don't want to harm myself any further. And what do you think about all these like cholesterol conspiracy theory people that think cholesterol is just perfectly healthy for you and ignore the body of science that says otherwise? And this is potentially dangerous, giving people advice that could give them, make them die from the leading cause of death. I'd rather follow what the scientific research says. So anyway, leave your questions and comments down below. Hit like, share this video, and until next time, guys, let's keep it vegan.
Spinning